Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. In today's video we're going to be talking about the Ahsoka series, and stay tuned because Rian Johnson's going to open up about The Last Jedi for the first time in 5 years. As always my dear friends, if you're new to the channel and you haven't done so already, please be sure to hit that big red subscribe button down below, and also give the bell a good old tickle to be alerted every time that I post a new video. You can expect daily Star Wars updates, so no more jibber jabber, let's get straight into it. What a week it's been for the Ahsoka series. The show is coming along really well, and today we have a few very exciting updates. Yesterday we covered Natasha Liu's birthday poster, where the cast and crew of the Ahsoka series signed it. We went through some of the key signatures that we could recognise, and a lot of characters were revealed. An update since is a few keen-eyed viewers noticed Mark Hamill's signature on the bottom left. This is really well spotted. He wrote, "Happy birthday Natasha, the force is strong with you," and below, Natasha seems to have deliberately blurred out whoever signed it, and that means whoever it is, their involvement is meant to be a secret, but a few fans on Star Wars Reddit pointed out the handwriting matches Mark Hamill, so without a shadow of a doubt, we might see how Ahsoka and Luke met in the Ahsoka show. I imagine they're going to use Mark again with the facial recognition algorithm, along with the body doubles, to create a post-Return of the Jedi Luke. Super exciting stuff. But that's far from the only news we have for the Ahsoka show. If you remember recently, Dave Filoni was very vocal about watching the first completed episode of the series, and he called it a religious experience. Well, today he has more to say, because in a recent interview with Dagobah Dispatch, the showrunner provided a very epic update about how production on the series is going. He says, quote, "It's everything I could have hoped for. It's fantastic. I never dreamed of running a live-action series as I was learning over the years." He says to see this character grow with the fans over the years was such a wonderful experience, and to see Ahsoka across so many different mediums. Filoni says he thinks it lends to the consistency of the character, and that's something very uncommon. A lot of times when you're an animator, you watch your creation kind of spin off, and then it's taken over by other people, but that's not the case here. Filoni has full creative control of his character, and in the upcoming Mandalorian spin-off, he wants to take her to the next level, show that evolution. To finish things off, when he was asked to describe Ahsoka in one word, he said, "It's awesome." Amazing stuff, guys. So next up, my dear Mandalorians, Rian Johnson is going to revisit The Last Jedi 5 years on. That's right guys, Rian Johnson is in the news again. Usually it's regarding his Star Wars trilogy, which looks like it's decades away if it's ever going to happen at all, but this time it's about Episode 8 The Last Jedi, which he hasn't really addressed since it came out, and then of course the online backlash, so let's dive into all the details. When it comes to The Last Jedi, there are very few Star Wars projects more controversial. While the sequel trilogy on the whole saw its fair share of controversy, almost nothing is more divisive than the 2017 movie The Last Jedi, the middle installment, directed by Rian Johnson. With Johnson taking over from J.J. Abrams after The Force Awakens, the second movie of the trilogy incited some of the most heated debates of any Star Wars project to date. Even though from a financial standpoint the movie did well, fan reception was anything but. There are fans who absolutely loved it, but many more who view it as a train wreck. Now while it's unclear if his work on The Last Jedi is to blame, Johnson's planned Star Wars trilogy remains in a state of flux, and we did have those comments from Kathleen Kennedy earlier in the year stating it is going to happen, but apparently the only reason it hasn't is because Rian is so busy. And now for the first time since its release, fans are going to be in for some more deeper information on what happened behind the scenes with the most controversial Star Wars movie of all time. Fanthatrax covered this a few days ago, but basically on the cover of the latest edition of Empire magazine, the outlet teases an exclusive with Rian Johnson, not only on Knives Out, but also to get his thoughts on The Last Jedi, and maybe even his future with the Star Wars franchise. While no details have been revealed by Empire, there's no preview for it. This is going to be the first time we get a deep look inside the mind of the creator, maybe this time with a less defensive perspective. After all, it has been 5 years, and his thoughts on his movie might have changed. In a separate interview with Cinema Blend though via IGN, Johnson did reflect on how he took the negative reception to The Last Jedi, something which was controversial, especially in the way he addressed fans. This is what he said: "In terms of the bad stuff, I'll tell you, it's interesting. That's been one of the really healthy things for me over the past couple of years. It's getting exposed to it. Before I made The Last Jedi, I had never had anyone hate on me on the internet. If during the course of the year I got one negative tweet, I would go into a panic. I'd be like, oh my god, someone out there doesn't like me, I need to fix this." But even in spite of the reception, he does remain thankful for being able to adjust his way of thinking and how people perceive him through his work. He talks about the great and genuine interactions with fans. This is what he said: The thing is though, I'm really thankful, because what that meant is that my sense of self-worth was attached to the notion of everybody liking me online, and the fact that this process has made me, out of survival, disconnect from that. It's given me a more realistic view of the system that is social media. There's a lot of great genuine interaction that goes on. The bad stuff, the systematic trolling, the almost gamified abuse that some people devote their entire online presence to, honestly, once you've seen enough of it, it just sort of gets boring after a while. Johnson also confirmed that it doesn't affect him whatsoever anymore, as his experience with The Last Jedi made him, quote, adjust to social media and tackle it in a healthy way. Ryan says, it doesn't even give me that little negative ping anymore, and I don't think it's even my skin growing tough. It's just that I've put it into perspective. I realize this is kind of a byproduct of this social Twitter system. There's going to be some degree of people where this is their hobby basically, so overall I found it made me adjust to social media where I'm seeing it and using it in a healthier way. So I think as a fandom we've moved past that to a great extent, so the big question now is, what is Johnson going to share about Star Wars 5 years later? What is the Empire magazine exclusive going to hold? I think the one thing that fans are very curious about is his future with Star Wars and his reflection on Episode 8. Of course, last year there was a report saying that he wants to be involved in The Mandalorian Season 3. And to be honest guys, I really don't know if that's going to happen. I don't know if Lucasfilm wants him to do that. I don't know if Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni have allowed him to direct an episode. We just have to wait and see. But I think this interview is going to be very telling of his future with the franchise, if he has one at all. But also I think some fans are curious to hear how he's changed over the last 5 years, if he's got a different view of the film he made, because while he talked with Cinema Blend about the fandom, his interactions online, he didn't say anything about the movie 5 years on. Now evidently Rian Johnson loves what he made. He's made it very clear in the past he has no reservations and no regrets about the decisions in The Last Jedi, so I doubt that aspect of it's changed. But what I'm talking about when I say his perspective is maybe how he feels about Star Wars now compared to back then. A lot has changed in 5 years. Disney Plus for one thing, The Mandalorian, Star Wars going in a very different direction. I'm curious to hear his thoughts on that. But also, I wonder if he might do a J.J. Abrams and admit that fundamentally right from the outset, the sequels had no plan, and they were very messy in their overall execution. An interview like this is unprecedented, but very intriguing because we really don't know what we might learn from it. He might also talk about his trilogy, maybe tell us a little bit about what he wants to explore. But regardless of what Rian Johnson says, I really hope as a fandom we can find some closure and finally move on from the topic of The Last Jedi, whether you loved it or hated it, because wherever this topic arises, it always causes division. I think the big interest right now is what's happening in The Mandalorian and its spin-offs, the Ahsoka show's skeleton crew, but also other aspects of Star Wars like the animation. We have so many exciting things going on there, The Bad Batch Season 2 for example, Tales of the Jedi, and Star Wars Visions 2 next year. So for a lot of us the sequels are a distant memory, but I'm very curious to read this article and to see what he says. Whenever these come out, there's always a lot to talk about. So share your thoughts in the comments down below guys. Are you excited to hear what Ryan has to say? Why so or why not? Let me know your thoughts on the Ahsoka updates as well, and thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one guys, as always, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one. May the Force be with you always. I'm Star Wars Meg. Have a good one.